G'day, bird nerds. How are you? Saturday morning, Habitat Gardening. I'm Grant. That's Loz. Uh, some of you may be aware of how Loz came to join the team. Uh, let's just say it was by accident. We haven't been able to find Loz's uh, home. You parents or whatever we want to call them. So uh, you're here. Let me see. I just want to turn something off because I'm annoyed that the uh, autofocus keeps turning up. So let's turn that off, eh? Okay, that's better. All right, how are you? Today we're going to talk about. Um, be good if I was in focus, wouldn't it? Today we're going to talk about attracting um, parrots to your garden. Uh, Hello, Martin. How are you? Nice to see you. Of course, everyone, if you're new. Oh, and broadcasting for the first time to Instagram. So if you jump in on Instagram, uh, I have it open, so I will try and keep an eye on the comments there as well. So, yeah, fantastic. All right, let me tell you, I've got to tell you, well, I'm going to get very messy too. I don't know if you can tell. Loz here um, loves soft fruit. That's an absolute favourite. Loves soft fruit, but very messy eater. Throws pear and mango, which is what he's enjoying now, all over the place. Apple as well. So as you can see, I don't know if you just noticed, he flicked that all over me. Um, hey, Martin, just let's try and stick to the rules here. When you come in and in the comments, say hello and let us know where you're from so that I can put it up and everyone can get an idea of where in the country or where in the world you are talking to us from. Uh, I'm in Melbourne, in Australia, otherwise known as Naarm, the unceded lands of the Wurundjeri people. I might have to I might have to put Loz on a perch. I think. Look, where is it? I've got some mango on my face. That's not what I wanted, fella. It's not what I wanted. Oh, it's not easy to come off either. Um, there we go. Ah, okay. So what we let me start again. I'm all over the place. We had a list a viewer asking how to how to encourage parrots into your garden. So I'm drawing the line. We're not talking cockatoos today. That'll be another one. That'll be a different one. So what I did, I scoured uh, the scientific articles that I could find talking about um, uh, just talking about the kinds of uh, let's get this up. Why is that not coming up? All right, we got that one up. Let's get this. Oh, that's weird. Um, okay, it looks like I'm going to have to do it a different way. And what I found tabs. Okay, uh, let's do this one. Is this the one I'm talking about? No, no. Um, which tab am I up for? This one. This one. No. Oh, sorry, folks. I'm. Uh, that's not the one. That's not the one. All right, what I think I'm going to do, I'm just going to start at 1 and go from there. What's this? Mass feeding events of turquoise parrots. Where's that one gone? Because I found this one to be almost... is this the one? No. All right, I'm going to start right at the top and take it from there. Oh, here we go. This is the one. Bring it in. Here we go. All right. This is an article by, let's get right up to the front, Michael Darlam and Vanessa Collins from Australian Field Ornithology, issue 38 or volume 38, 2021. Okay, now, it's really looking at mass feeding events in the northwest slopes of New South Wales, near Narrabri, of turquoise parrots and eastern rosellas. And why this one is useful is that turquoise parrots are the Neophema, or I think they're now Sophoto Neophema or Neosophotus, I think is what they're called now. Still called Neophema pulchella for the turquoise parrot in this article, but I saw several others with a different generic name. And eastern rosellas, so of course rosellas being a mid-sized parrot, and turquoise parrot being what I would term a small parrot, and of the general grass parrot terminology. Now, these are two of the really widespread genus of parrots found across most of Australia, but I think we'll talk about nectar feeding parrots shortly. But there's a couple of things that parrots are going to need if they're going to come into your garden or into your farm or whatever. Obvious one is food, and we'll talk about food species and the types of food in a short while. But before I was looking at the articles, I was thinking about what have I noticed about the parrots feeding around here. And we have red rump parrots, which are Sophotus, and they're ground feeders. And I really notice them in the park when the Poa annua are in flower, so that there's Poa seeds available. You are making a real mess. I'm going to put you over here and see whether you like this, Loz. Here we are. Is that going to get you tempted to head over there? I've got these little perches that luckily they weren't designed for a lorikeet, but we have two of them in the house, and he seems quite happy to jump up onto them. If I turn this around, he will. No? Oh, he does poop a lot too, and it's lorikeet's a messy poo. What's he done there? Oh. Luckily, it's not too bad. Do you want to come on here? Come on. You'll have to jump up there. You will. There you are. And now I can put you... Oh, no. He just wants to stay on my shoulder. All right. Now, the reason this article was really, really interesting to me is that... Do you recognise that? That's a dead branch. And it's fairly high up. And look, there's a dead tree. And it's fairly well populated with turquoise parrots. And look, there's a fairly defoliated tree. And it's populated with eastern rosellas. And look, more dead foliage. Okay, I'll tell you what I'm noticing around here. Good morning, Chris. Let's talk about that a bit more in a minute, Chris. On crowias. All right, I really do want to talk about that because there's another common theme we'll get to in a minute, because crowias sort of have a fleshy seed repository, so they're getting into that. Anyway, Oh, Chris, remind everyone where you're from too, by the way. Um, so, uh, one of the one of the really common things we've got to think about with feeding birds, because most people, I'm assuming most people think, uh, uh, Kinglake West, okay, north of Melbourne, on the nowadays on the metropolitan fringe, dry eucalypt habitat. I believe, Chris, would you be disagreeing with me if I said that dry eucalypt? Oh, forget. No worries. That was a tripod falling down. Um, Most people, when they're thinking about feeding birds or bringing birds into their garden, think about putting out some food. I would like you to think about it another way. If you put the food there, is is your place a satisfactory, safe, and conducive place from a bird's point of view to come in and get a feed? Oh my God, I'm covered in mango. Um, Thanks for that, Loz. Now, just this one article, of course, it's only one article, but it's really common from what I'm seeing around here. Is that I agree. So he's obviously been tame. He knows how to whistle, and he does a little dance if I join in often. Oh, who was that? I just got a thumbs up from somewhere. Where was that? Um, Hello. Oh, Glenn. Glenn, are you watching on Instagram? Uh, Sorry, I'm going to jump around a bit because it's the first time with Instagram, and I would like to know if people are watching. I do have people. Um, People are joining. It doesn't say they're leaving, so that's really great. Um, Let me acknowledge the people on Instagram. Uh, AYK Wildlife, hello. Sitsai Oz, hello. Hello, Sitsai Oz. Um, Adventure Birding Tours, nice to see you. Heidi Yuko, hello. Glenn Smith. Uh, Glenn's a regular member of the Riot Squad, but on a different platform. So that's great to see. Oh, Advocate for Birds and Naomi Bergenson has just joined as well. And Naomi's on Instagram. Hello, Naomi. It's good to see you trying out the new platform. Tell me, how does it look when it's supposed to be like a vertical? I'll get that. I'll get that sorted. I have to learn another technique to be able to do the vertical, but we'll get that sorted for the next stream. Uh, Gee, that's really nice to see you all jumping in on Instagram. Um, okay, where was I? Where was I? Um, yeah, so we need to think past just putting out some feed, putting out some water, putting out some feed, and there's some standard techniques about keeping things clean and stopping the spread of disease, but uh, first you need to think about, is there a satisfactory place for birds such as the grass parrots, like the red rump parrots or the turquoise parrots, to be coming in and feeding, uh, and rosellas? Where do they prefer to feed? Before we even think about what do we feed them, uh, is the best thing to do to feed them to actually plant plants that they want to feed on, and or is it better to supplementary feed them with seed or something else? And if you go down the plant keeping plants, introducing plants that they will want to feed on into the garden, are you happy to accept that when those plants are not in seed, you might not have those birds? They might have moved on to something else. If you're lucky enough to be able to plant everything so that you've got food for the whole year, that's great. But are you actually are you planting the seed for them or the food plants for the birds, or are you doing it for yourself? Now, I'm not making a value judgment either way about that because I think people like to interact with birds, and there's some value in it. And I think as birds become rarer and rarer in our suburbs. Hello, talk birdie to me. Nice to see you as well. Um, if you're on Instagram, I'll pay special attention to Instagram because it's the first time today. Drop a comment in there. No, Naomi just tells me that it looks really good on Instagram. Okay, that's good to know. Thank you. Sound should be back. I don't know why that happened, but we just got muted. We're unmuted. Sorry about this. It's the perils of live streaming. Naomi and Talk Birdie to me, let me know that sound is back. Talk Birdie to me, I haven't seen you before. Let us know where you are, where you're watching / listening from. Thanks, Naomi. Yeah, it just muted itself, so that's all right. Yeah, so Talk Birdie to me. Whereabouts are you, and what's your special interest? Where did I get to? Where did I get to? Thanks everyone for telling me about the sound. It's should be back now. Oh, yeah. Just let me know that it is. I can drop off this this banner too, can't I now? Uh, Thanks, Liz. Okay, so you need you need to make birds feel safe as apart from having the food for them to eat. And looking at just we'll just go back to these pictures, and this is what I have noticed anecdotally around here is that I can't get uh, the parrots interested in any seed, whether it be on the ground, in a dish, or anywhere else, unless they have somewhere where they can, one, scope the joint out. They want to have somewhere that they can scope the joint out first. And the second thing is that they need to have somewhere where they can quickly get away to and feel safe. So I think you need, I think you need some tall, elevated, defoliated perches. Now it seems like something that most people won't want to have in their garden, but I think if you want to be a really attractive destination for small parrots, I think that's something that you need. So, how do you do that? Yeah, have you got a suggestion? Uh, do you kill a plant you already have? Uh, do you defoliate an existing branch, or can you create a branch? Uh, Now that would be my thought. If you don't have um, if you don't have anywhere that you can do it, maybe you can actually yeah maybe you can actually add a bough a branch to something like the back wall of a shed or the side wall of a shed or up on your fence. You've got to be a bit creative, and it won't look fantastic, but it will be utilitarian. It will serve a purpose. Um, the nearest thing antenna, it's somewhere where quite often you'll just see birds sitting up there. It's not because it's the most comfortable place to perch. It's probably hot or cold, depending on the weather, because it's metallic and it absorbs heat. But it's up above most other structures, and the birds can get a good look around and see, you know, what might be a danger, or what is who else is around. Maybe a red rump parrot doesn't want to alight somewhere with a bunch of these bully boys, because it just might not be a good visit. They probably don't want to arrive where there's a bunch of cockatoos either. So at least one high up, easy to access, and I would suggest defoliated perch. That would be the first thing I would think you need. The second thing I think you need is some low down shrub layers or small tree layers. Thank you. That offer other protection, like a place to hide. Seems fairly, yeah, I thought so. Seems fairly sensible. Oh, we're coming around. Where are you going? Yeah, I'm coming around this side. Okay. Oh, now you want the mango, do you? Do you want to go over here? Let me just. Yeah. Okay. Loz is back to eating mango over there. You can come over again if you want. Sorry, folks. Let me just check where we got any comments. Talk birdie to me from Sydney. Hello, Bilby Tracker. Now that's a really interesting name, Bilby Tracker. Where are you from? I'm hoping that you're from the desert. Been tracking bilbies. Okay, that's really, really, really interesting. And feel free in the comments, tell me as much or as little about you and your interest in birds or in habitat gardening or nature in general, and we'll all get to know each other a little bit. Now, getting a perch, getting a big perch. You don't really want to go out and cut a tree down or a dead tree down and bring it home. If you can find one that's already fallen down, maybe that would be okay. But can you create something similar that will do the trick? Can you put up like a pine pole and a couple of twigs, small boughs off that? I mean, it'll look awful, but it'll serve a purpose. All I can say is that you would need to try it. But this is one of the things that we're seeing around the suburbs now, is that dead trees get removed because, of course, they're going to be dangerous. So there's probably less and less of these opportunities that birds anecdotally seem to need. So maybe you can do all the birds a favour by getting involved in this. Okay, I'll move on. I could talk about that all day, but it's probably not going to be the most interesting of subjects. I might say I've scoured the literature. We got a lot of stuff that I was looking for today, like scarlet-chested parrot. This tells us. Of course, I haven't got access to most of the articles too, so I'm having to only read abstracts. Um, what I what I found was really common was that many of the um, parrot species, even though they're thought of as mostly um, seed eaters, they have to. Oh, I got a new message on TikTok already. What's happening? Um, uh, they have to supplement their diets, and you might be surprised to know that many of them supplement their diet by eating insects. Now, I was a bit surprised by that. So uh, they apparently need the hard shelled insects. This is what many of the articles said, and that their moisture, um, when they're not coming in to drink, or if they're in a habitat where there is not readily available water, they get much of their moisture requirement from succulent stems. So succulent stems. Let me speak properly. And in an Australian context, we can think a lot about saltbush and allied plants. So you might want to think about growing. I'm not sure if things like, I mean, there's just very little that is really available in general, especially when talking about captive or oh, are you upset again? Um, uh, Captive birds and really regular uh, husbandry techniques when we're talking about succulents. So I think it would just be a matter of suck it and see. Um, Word of caution. I found in a lot of the aviculture and bird keeping literature, never feed avocado to, well, lorikeets, but I would imagine it's the same for any of the fruit eating um, parrots and maybe birds generally, because it's toxic. And also never let them get near caffeine. Uh, oh, you want to come over? All right, come on, come on. Yeah, come on. There we are. All right. Can't believe it. He's only been around about what are we up at? 13 days he's been around. Um, Sorry, a bit disjointed. Let me just check the comments in. Um, okay, talk birdie to me from Sydney. Let's talk a bit about the plants that you can think about growing. And in the Australian context, you need to be growing a range of grasses, and you need to be growing according to what I can find about diet of across uh, so many of these. Hello, he really likes that. So I've been looking at lots and lots and lots of lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots. Are you right there? Um, I'll just give you an idea. Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of literature. You really like that, don't you? Uh, in the Australian context, all sorts of grasses, acacias, and eucalypts, and then there's going to be lots of generalistic foraging. I suggest similar to what Chris said. Popped up before that crimson rosellas will forage on the seeds of crowias. I would imagine that they will forage on the seeds of You don't need to be picking that apart. Why is it so? Um, uh, so be be very uh, broad in your plant selections. I would be thinking, but take your mind a bit further away from just grasses. But you do need grasses, and grasses we will loosely include lots of those tussocky plants that are not true grasses, limandras, for instance. But then you've got a lot of those little. Uh, uh, Martin, thank you for this. Love feeding. Turquoise parrots love feeding in long grasses. Yeah. What I. Turquoise parrots, particularly, I found that uh, one of the favourite grasses for them was actually an introduced grass uh, from Zambia. I would have to. Here we go. Was this in here? Uh, let's see if I can find the. No, I'll have to write something up so that I'm not rambling so much and put it up on the website. Uh, so if you're going to plant grasses, the next thing you need to think about is the succession of flowering and then therefore fruiting. So uh, I would think you're probably going to need 6, 7, maybe more species of grasses. Uh, Now in Australia, we're lucky we've got a quite a few um, genus of grasses that are quite common in horticulture. So but just to think about three, um, you will get the themata, which is like the kangaroo grass. You'll get the poa, which is a true grass, and you'll get the danthonia, which is a wallaby grass, and then you've got the things like the limandras and garnias and so many other plants that throw often really spectacular and decorative seed heads as well. And then you've got lots of the sort of lily kind of plants that have fruits that the birds will get into as well. Um, it's really difficult to give recommendations when you're from all over the country, but um, uh, but that's sort of the first place to start. And now Chris has just put in a couple of comments, which goes to the next the next type of plant that I think is really important for uh, mostly seed eating parrots. And Chris says, we've noticed king parrots feeding on the seeds of Flinders Ranges wattles. Now that's Acacia idiophylla, and gangangs feeding on the narrow leaf wattles. Now there's a number uh, of wattles that could be. I mean, you've got, I think it's 700 or 800 species of wattle in Australia. It There's going to be one that you can select that will grow in your area and that will be flowering at a particular time. We think of September being wattle month in Australia, but there are two species of wattles now in flower in the park here, and they are actually, this guy likes just browsing on the wattle blossoms as well. Wattles are really important because they bring lots of insects and small insects in for the flowers. But then when they set seed, they set a lot of seed, and it's really important in the diet of Australian parrots. And I would imagine because acacias are really common in Africa, and um, that a lot of African parrots are going to be very dependent on or very happy to select acacia seeds as part of their diet. Um, uh, Acacia mucronata. Okay, so there's going to be thousands. there's going to be at least 100 small and medium species of acacia that you can find. And acacias, they go in and out of fashion, I think, in horticulture, but Acacia idiophylla, or the Flinders Ranges wattle, is always available, super reliable in dry climates and also in the temperate climates like Melbourne, Sydney. So you'll always be able to find Acacia idiophylla, and it has a nice bluey green foliage and a nice small weeping compact shape. So it's really desirable for lots and lots of places in the garden. It just made me think too, something else I saw red rumps browsing on, actually right in the town centre here at St Albans. There's one part at the bottom of Alfreda Street where there is a prostrate eremophila and the prostrate Myoporium parvifolium, both planted in these garden beds along the side of Main Road, really busy road, and lots of foot traffic there. But I have seen red rump parrots come in and picking at the fruits of both the eremophilas and the Myoporium ground covers. So there must be something in those seed capsules. I think they're drupes, from memory. So there's another opportunity. Let me just check Instagram again. Oh, here we go. Naomi, there's comments, so I'm going to go through comments in... hello, Weekend Birder has joined on Instagram too. Looks like Instagram's a good place to stream. Naomi has said perhaps make a Burning Man style sculptural sitting area for birds. Yeah, I think you can be really inventive about providing elevated perches for birds. Sculptures, I think, would work. I would just be mindful of metal ones because they get very hot in the sun. Naomi has said avocado is deadly and irreversible, at least what I was told when I was doing uni. Yeah, there's a poison they just can't deal with. So, yes, that's right. One of the very first things I looked up when I was saying feeding lorikeets, no avocado in big bold letters. Crimson and red rumps around Naomi's place, which is the foothills of the... no, not the foothills of the Blue Mountain. That's your mum's place, isn't it? My memory is terrible. Seem to like eating the roots of introduced grasses. Anecdotal observation. Well, yes, I will also tell you that the red rumps here will dig up the rhizomes, the roots of the creeping grasses in the park here. I've witnessed that a lot. Cockatoos and corellas also do it, but they don't do it all the time. So it's obviously a time where they're soft and fleshy and have a lot of food value. So yes, they do that. Now, Naomi, here's a really good one. King parrots love to eat Chinese maple seeds, not native plant, but they sure love them. Yeah, I've also seen lots of parrots and cockatoos getting into like those liquid amber seed capsules and into the other maples around here. So yeah, they'll eat seed, and there's a lot of options other than. The other thing that again, cockatoos, we're not really talking about cockatoos, but they will get into when the cypress are developing the cones, before the cones get woody and they're still green and fleshy. Lots of cockatoos will get onto those, and I've seen hedges and beautifully clipped small conifers just covered in cockatoos and corellas around here too. So they're obviously of high nutritional value and they like the taste. So why not provide them? Okay. What else? What else do I want to tell you? Now, water. I want to tell you that you need to have water available too, and I would like to. Here we go. Chris, yes. Um, yeah, Chris. One of Chris has put the comment in that Banksias are great for yellow-tailed black cockatoos, and get some feeding on the hairpin Banksia, and the hairpin Banksia is Banksia spinulosa, and all of its various um, hybrids and whatnot. Yes, they do love cockatoos. Love getting into still. Usually, in my observations, usually they're still fairly green. The the seed caps or the seed cones of the Banksias, but yeah, that's excellent. I wanted to leave cockatoos alone because there's a whole lot of other um, other plants that maybe these smaller parrots don't get to use. But I will say you can look at she oaks because a lot of the cockatoos will be feeding on she oaks and ripping the cones apart. But some of these smaller parrots, especially the Neophema type, which are the and I would think maybe the Sophotis ground feeders are going to hoover up the casuarina seeds when they're dropped. So again, casuarinas, you can get big trees or allocasuarinas, allied genuses obviously closely related. You can get anything from really large trees to small decorative feature plants, and casuarinas, allocasuarinas have a male and a female plant. So yeah, see if you can identify which is which. At the nursery, obviously, you want a female plant if you're going to be setting seeds and getting cones. Let's go back to Instagram. Nothing new there. Yeah, I agree. You're having a good chat. Okay. Let me move on for a minute to birds like this, the rainbow lorikeet and other lorikeets. Now they're nectar feeders, but they can get really partial to some seeds, and especially the fatty sunflower seeds and safflower seeds that are high fat, highly nutritious, but they can not become dependent on them, but they can start to prefer them. And I don't think that's good. And I also don't think that's good for any of the wild birds that we feed. They obviously love it, but it's a bit like if you were just going to eat pies all the time. You'll end up looking like me. And I'm not. Oh, you're going to clean up. Thanks. So, what sort of seed mix? If you were going to put seed out, how would you do it? I can tell you how I do it. I don't do it in a bowl that concentrates where the birds come to. I scatter it now and always have all over the ground and in not always in the same place, on the nature strip, in the park, on the little bit of lawn we've got around my place, so that the red rumps, if they want to come in, they don't have to come anywhere near corellas and cockatoos if they don't want to. And it also means that the other birds, like the crested pigeons, and of course I've got the spotted doves here, if they want to come in, they don't need to get near the cockatoos. So just offer them a choice of places. And there's another good reason for that. Martin, are we talking about lorikeets for this? Martin has now Martin's in Gladstone, subtropical Queensland. They love the umbrella tree fruit in the subtropics and ups. easy growing. Umbrella tree is the Schlefflera, and has big glossy green leaves. It's a indoor plant in the southern parts of the country, but will grow in Melbourne outdoors. Probably won't flower quite so much, but it's really common up the east coast and across the northern part of Australia. And they, after they've finished flowering, and of course they would love the flowers, they throw out a spike with lots of fruit on it, a bit like, I mean, this is not the same and they're not related or anything, but a bit like the spike of the grass tree when it's got seed on it. Similar kind of size for the seeds. So yeah, there's an opportunity to eat seed as well as get on the flowers. Martin has also said, yeah, rainbow lorikeets is what he's talking about. Yeah. Now, one of the other reasons that you don't want to just put out one seed bowl or a couple of seed bowls, and even though it's nice to interact with all the birds and see them interacting and get them close, especially if it's on a balcony or something and you can all go, oh, look at this, is that there's diseases out there, beacon feather disease being, parrot beacon feather disease being one that we're mostly aware of, but there's several others, some which I wasn't aware of, but there's also the spreading of things like nematodes and things like that. That if the birds are close together and they're sort of touching each other when they're feeding and doing things like this, the spread of disease is going to be much, much, much more common. Where are you going now? Over here. Oh, you're getting curious. Okay, hang on. I'll just get him back onto the yeah. I don't want him all over the room. Come on. Come on. Oh, what about this way? Here we go, this way. Yeah, very good. He's back onto the mango. Thanks for being tolerant of having the rowdy team member in the streams. It's going to be regular. It keeps him entertained. Him or her. Again, I haven't found a way to sex the rainbow lorikeet. Short of, I guess, when I take him to the vet, him or her, when I take Loz to the vet, maybe there's an ultrasound or something that will tell me. But for now, a non-gender specific name, Loz, is the best I can do. And I really, if Loz is going to be with me long term, I really should think about a friend for Loz. Anyway, now where was I? Do you want to prompt me? Let's go back to the Instagram. Lots of, what have we got here? Yeah. Okay, Naomi has said that I was talking about saltbush earlier. Yes, I was. She saw ringnecks feasting on ruby saltbush berries. Yeah, well, Naomi, within the berry is the seeds, so I think they're getting the nutrition from the fleshy coating around the seeds, and obviously they're getting into the seeds. Fleshy berries have moisture, so that counts towards satisfying their moisture content needs. But there's in a lot of these articles, there's evidence, observations of them eating the foliage. So there's going to be things like atriplex and other saltbush, noon flowers. There's a whole lot of fleshy-leaved plants that they're probably nibbling on. I can tell you anecdotally with the rainbow lorikeet, I've been going and finding bunches of flowering gum, umbels, seeds, flowering heads that I can pop in his cage. He likes chewing on eucalyptus leaves. I imagine many parrots just browse on whatever vegetation they feel like. Maybe there's minerals and things that they're getting from them. I I don't know. Um, Now let's see. Oh, hello, Janet. So I hope things are going better in your region. You can maybe fill us in on that. I do want to get you on the show to talk about the issues you raised with me with the weather in southeast Queensland, the weather event, and what's been going on. Um, uh, you've said I would imagine behaviour personality may indicate the sex of Loz. Not from what I can find anywhere. Um, and unless they're like in a pair and they acting together, and one might be strutting around chasing the other another. I think that would be the only way. On an individual basis, there doesn't seem to be anything that can be reliable. The other thing is too, I have no idea. I don't know how old Loz is. I thought Loz was young because of how uh, tame and sort of needy he seemed to be. But once he'd been with us a few days, he was very, very out of condition. I could really easily feel the keel bone. Um, Once he'd been fed up a bit and he's a bit more boisterous, or she, it, uh, I I am now sure that the bird is used to being around people. Some of the calls I think are not normal rainbow lorikeet calls. I think are mimicking other birds it's been it's been associated with. So I'm really surprised that nobody has put notices out, or I haven't seen anything about a lost bird. There are some people who keep birds uh, only a matter of about 150 metres away, but a few properties away. And I went and had a word to them. They've got pigeons and they've got an Indian ringneck parrot. Asked them if they had a lorikeet and if it was missing. I said no. So I'm no wiser there. Now let's go back. Naomi was talking about water now. With the water, bird bath and a seed bowl, we have to be careful about hygiene because of parrot beak and feather disease. That's definitely true. I I also think that there are many other health concerns that we need to think about apart from just that disease. So hygiene is really, really important. You need to clean the bowls regularly, like at least daily, with a weak bleach solution. Scrub it down. I scrub my bird bath down each night and splash out the everything that was in there, clean it down, and then fill it up with new water. Now let me keep the comments coming, questions coming. I know I'm rambling, but it's kind of the nature of the live show. It's not like I don't want to go through like a PowerPoint presentation. I can do that in videos or something different. I'd much rather get to know your thoughts and your particular situations. So at the moment, people on Twitter. Now, if you're on Twitter or X and you want to ask questions or be involved, you will be better off if you're on YouTube or Facebook so that your comments can come in and I can answer them easily. Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Hello to all of you, and on Instagram as well. Martin has a comment here. Yes, the vet will do we'll have a look up him or it and see what's what. That's quite true. So we will be doing that at some time. Naomi has just put the Oh, hello, the arboreal ecologist. That's a very interesting name. Tell us, arboreal ecologist, tell us where you're from, um, and what's your particular bird or habitat gardening interest. Naomi tells us 1 part bleach to 9 parts water is recommended by BirdLife. Yes, 1 in 10 or 10% solution. Yes, that would be mine too. You could uh, you could do it. I would actually do it a little bit stronger if I was wiping down my uh, maybe your balcony if birds have been sitting and perching on there, and you hadn't done it for a long time. I would be using something stronger to start with. I'd also scrub it with a scrubbing brush rather than wipe with a cloth. Um, so yes, get onto that. Uh, would really like to know, arboreal ecologist, what you're up to, and hello, Kirsty, weekend birder. Hmm, hmm. Okay, where are we up to now? Now we haven't really. I haven't really talked about eucalyptus yet. Eucalyptus, corymbias, um, callistemons, melaleucas, uh, that whole Myrtaceae family. You've also got like the New Zealand Christmas bush, the Metrosideros. Um, there's so many flowering plants that you can uh, think of to bring into the garden. All the proteaceae, the grevilleas, the banksias, all of things like your proteas, or leucospermums, um, firewheel trees like the stenocarpus. I mean, there are just so many flowering plants that you can uh, use to attract nectar feeding birds like the lorikeets, the lories. What you need to consider there is the progression of flowering. Um, I can tell you that Loz, on my experience, this particular rainbow lorikeet uh, prefers red corymbia blossoms to virtually everything else, but will investigate anything with flowers on it. Eucalyptus or corymbia are far preferred to melaleucas, and just in the last few days, callistemons preferred to melaleucas, but when it comes to melaleucas, prefers red and pink to white and yellow. That's just my observations here. Um, I I just think variety is the key, and if you have space, I would be um, planting several eucalyptus corymbias with acacias interspersed um, and callistemons as well, and banksias obviously. Um, wow, we've been going a while, haven't we? So what I'll do now is basically leave it open to comments and questions. Um, Naomi has just said there is commercially available cleaning solutions available. Yes, that's true. So you can um, source something like that. I mean, places like Pet Stock and Pet Barn, and no doubt small pet stores, agricultural supply stores are really uh, uh, are really valuable places to visit to have a chat to the staff. They might know something about your local birds that you won't find on anyone's webpage or anyone's podcast or live stream. Um, yeah. Martin's got a comment which was actually Martin going to be about my next point that I brought up. When you're not in a situation to plant for parrots, weeds have attracted a lot of pale-headed rosellas, I think. They like the Stinky Rogers flowers. I don't know what it's. I don't know what the Stinky Rogers is. It's probably a local name up your way, Martin. But yes, the other thing I would say is that weeds are often very, very, very popular. Oh, I've seen rosellas choosing dandelion and thistle seed heads. They will pull them apart. I know that in aviculture, in aviaries, dandelions and thistles are very, very popular as a green. Birds need variety, and they will seek it out. There's all sorts of different minerals, and in in weeds, in green vegetation that you might not think of when you're thinking about what should I feed my bird. Um, I've seen them on those horsetails. I think they're plantains. I've seen them pulling them apart in the park as well. Where are you going? You want to come back over, do you? Okay. Oh, what are you doing down there? Come on. Come on. Come on. Yeah, you know I'm up here. Again, obviously a very tame bird that doesn't like to fly, likes to climb and scramble. Um, oh yeah, that's right. I'm talking about you. Um, okay, folks, let's have a look on the Instagram. Naomi tells me I have noticed the rainbow lorikeets can be quite territorial, and the wattlebirds are as well. Seen them scare off musk and purple clown lorikeets from eucalyptus blooms. Yeah, that is really something I should have expanded further on that. Oh, and Chris says his budgies love silverbeet. Yeah, isn't that good? Budgies are better at eating dinner than your kids. Um, One of the reasons I scatter seed around is so that taking taking notice of Naomi's point is that birds are territorial. Look, even here, whenever I spread seed on my front yard, which I do each morning, the magpies delight in swooping all the pigeons. The magpies don't want the seed; they're just having a game, and the front yard's part of their territory, and they will just bomb the birds that come in just for fun. Uh, these little fellas, lorikeets, are the bully boys of the bush when they're in a gang, and they will monopolise feeding tables. Cockatoos the same, uh, and in my observation here, the long-billed corellas will dominate the sulphur-crested cockatoos and the little corellas around here. They they're just boisterous bullies who will dominate those situations. Wattlebirds the same. Both red wattlebirds, little wattlebirds around here, they they have their territory and they'll keep other birds out. Uh, so if you have a dominant pair or group of, be it wattlebirds or noisy miners in that your backyard or your front yard is part of their territory, you will need to have numerous opportunities for other birds to feed. Um, I mean, we can spread this out to all the different birds. Uh, with these birds, you don't want smaller birds coming close to them because they will nip their legs off. Uh, so yeah, you just need to provide a number of opportunities, and let's just come back to Instagram and Naomi. Um, yeah, certainly a number of trees or bushes. That's where you need to provide those refuges, which I mentioned really early on about not only having perches that are devoid of foliage or very, very sparsely uh, leaved, so that the birds can use it as a lookout, and a place to scope out the situation. Um, yeah, just be creative. And Chris has put up. This is something that I like. Um, a lady up in Chris's neck of the woods, up near King Lake, put chicken mesh around a bird feeder, just so the red-browed firetails or the red-browed finches can get in and out through the mesh, but it keeps the larger birds away. Yes, certainly you can do that, and that's how some. I think it was it the helmeted honeyeater. Um, I think the helmeted honeyeater study with Ainsley was talking about the feed stations for the helmeted honeyeaters excluded some larger birds because that's what will happen. And I would imagine that if these fellas found a free feed that they could get access to, they'd be into it straight away. Um, uh, so if there's only one feeding place, you can do that. My solution would always be to spread out the opportunities and to um, I, and the, look, we haven't even got to the issue about. Well, I did talk a bit about the kind of seed to feed, but I'm keeping away from that. I would get it. I'll try and get David Phelan on again to maybe talk about that. I did notice in a lot of these articles I was checking out that David was a co-author too. So he's done a lot of work on feeding birds, feeding wild birds, and we have the lorikeet paralysis syndrome. Probably time to get an update on that. Lorikeets can also become drunk on fermented fruit, and so there's a lot of things you probably don't want lorikeets getting into. I've hardly touched on fruit. What I noticed around the corner here last week, there was a plum tree that was really heavily laden with fruit, and I watched it was completely covered in rainbow lorikeets for a couple of days. When I went and looked at all the fruits, they had just scraped down like one or two scrapes on every fruit, but they didn't eat the whole thing. I picked some fruits and gave them to this guy. Didn't eat the whole thing, but when it comes to pears and apples and now mango, will eat everything. So they've got their preferences, and soft fruits is obviously the go. So some opportunistic foraging of your stone fruits or something will no doubt happen. Pawpaw is another thing. Papaya is another thing that he quite likes. So I imagine in the wild, you'll get any sort of soft fruit could be conducive to bringing these nectar feeding and not terribly selective parrots into your garden. Okay. Oh, Naomi's got some exciting news. 3 region honeyeaters were seen local to Naomi in the Blue Mountains. Off topic, but what to plant for regent honeyeaters? Okay, well, regent honeyeaters in the wild prefer the sort of box ironbark. I would be perhaps Naomi. I might look at your area and put a little planting guide together. I'd like to maybe put Regent / Swifties in the same in the same category, and I might just put a little planting list together. I imagine that any of the box ironbarks would be suitable. Eucalyptus sideroxylon would be the first thing I would think about. But I would guess that the regent honeyeaters are going to. Well, I'll look it up. I'll see whether anyone's made observations of them being more generalist, like whether they are like most of the honeyeaters, and that they will visit your grevilleas and your proteas and your banksias, as well as their preferred eucalyptus slash corymbias. Um, let me have a look at that. I will come back to that. Um, Tomorrow, I was planning to do a stream looking at. I've been going through the news feeds, and I think Sundays um, I might do a review of environmental news that I've been reading over the week, and I will see whether I can get that into that tomorrow, and then get that sort of clipped and popped out onto the socials and something by Monday. Yeah, that's something that's really well needed. So I'll do that. That might be this afternoon's sort of task. Naomi's also made the point on Instagram. You can now watch the streams on Instagram. That figs get smashed by parrots and other birds. Yeah, absolutely. Figs in the right season visited all the time. The other thing too is, I don't know if you've noticed, but some of the old palms, when they set their seeds and they ripen to become dates, even though not the commercially tasty dates that you might be used to, the lorikeets, I've certainly seen lorikeets and cockatoos getting into the palm kernels. So that they're generalist feeders if they're out there. I tried to put some nut mix out on the picnic tables out here in the park. Well, this is a couple of years ago. This is during the lockdowns. And the cockatoos were quite partial to all of the nuts. So I would imagine that if you've got nut pieces out there, I'm sure, because of the high fat content, I'm sure the generalist, especially rosellas, would probably get into them. Yeah. Folks, we'll just keep it going for a few more minutes to see if you've got more questions or comments. I'll do a little bit of a regent honeyeater swift parrot plant list, and maybe, depending on how long it takes me, I might. Well, I will. I just don't know how long it'll take me. I will do a bit of a quick guide of what I think the key elements are for. It will be just a sort of point form guide of what I think birds, seed-eating birds, small parrots, grass parrots, rosellas, etc., need to be happy and comfortable in your garden. Really good to see the Riot Squad active this morning. What are you doing for the rest of the day? I am going out to purchase some foodstuffs, and then I'm going to be collating a plant list. And getting ready for tomorrow's stream. Sunday sessions, I'm definitely going to bring them in this year. There won't be a guest tomorrow unless somebody here wants to join me. Actually, Janice, you could, if you're free tomorrow, there's an invitation. Just drop me a line and let me know if you're free anytime after midday to talk about what's been going on up your way, as we can casually go through the news, the environment news and the conservation news of the week. I know it's the spur of the moment thing, but you're here, so if you would like to join in, tomorrow, you would be more than welcome. Um, so look, I'll let you all. I'll tell you all what I've got in mind. I would like to use Sundays as a way to invite people that I've had on the show before, and I just want to catch up with them. Like, what are you doing now? And where we can sort of talk about issues and news and catch up and do it fairly relaxed while we're swigging on a cup of tea or coffee, I guess. So it'll be a lot more ramshackle than the normal stream. Um, yeah. What else will I tell you? What's coming up? Um, Nothing locked in yet, but I am going to try and stream every day until at least once every day on at least one platform. So I'll be mixing it up so they won't all be on YouTube or all on Facebook. I'm going to try and mix up things a bit to be a bit more platform specific in some uh, on some of the platforms. So just going to experiment a bit in January while people are still in holiday mode. Martin, that's a very good point. 41 degrees in some parts of South Australia today. Yes, I might say it was pretty hot here yesterday, 30, 35 or 36, I think, in some locations. I think it was 35 at my place. Lots of birds visiting the bird bath yesterday. So yes, putting water out, and I would suggest water in quite a few locations. Again, you need to think about making it harder for any predator to make your bird bath or your water bowl a happy hunting ground. So I'd put putting water in a couple of situations, but also making sure on really hot days that if you can, make sure your water is at least getting shade for some of the day. So think about where you place it, and this is being aware of where the shady locations are at different times of the day in your garden or your farm or something. I mean, if you're relying on farm dams, try and keep some vegetation around on at least one side of the dam. Um, yeah. Okay, back to Instagram and we'll see who's around. Nothing new there. So just the last few minutes, if you have another question or comment. Well, we got through that. Well, I didn't get through everything, but we've been going well and truly long enough. I hope you're going out to maybe purchase some plants today. Get to know your... Oh, did I tell you this the other day? I went to Bunnings last week just looking for some things, and I checked out the pet aisle. I can tell you there's very little about birds in their pet aisle. I visited Pet Barn, Pet Stock, but the nursery at Bunnings, boy, what a disappointing place when you're looking for plants. Wowee. Wowee. So I will need to definitely create a list of really good native indigenous nurseries for different parts of the country. That was really disappointing. A lot worse than I remember. And a long time ago, I worked at Bunnings, and I don't think I've told you this. Quite a few years ago, I was a sales rep for a wholesale nursery. I was a I was just a general nursery hand in a wholesale nursery, and I also had my own little nursery, really boutique style nursery, where it was just pretty much promoting indigenous plants and generalist native plants to grow in a place that was fairly close to national parks and state parks to encourage birds into gardens. So I've done a lot of this, and yeah, there's not a lot of study. There's a lot of anecdotal information. So we just need to keep sharing information with each other of what we've seen and see what works best. It's feeding is something I wrestle with all the time. I don't feed a lot. I just feed a little bit so that the birds are around. The biggest benefit I saw when I was feeding, and a lot of cockatoo, they're not, the cockatoos and corellas don't actually come and touch my seed now. But during the pandemic, they were in all the time, and the main benefit that I think I got from that was that the local people started to see the birds and get a bit of a relationship with them, and the kids really loved it. When I walk around outside with this bird on my shoulder, the kids love it too. So I think the main benefit is just getting people interested in birds, if they haven't been already. Okay. Millam Randy James. Hello, Millam Randy James. Where can I send audio recordings of the morning bird sounds? Millam Randy James, you can send, and this is anybody, if you send to Dawn Chorus, two words merged into one, Dawn Chorus at thebirdemergency.com, they will get to me, and look, we'll probably do a Dawn Chorus maybe. We were sort of doing them on Wednesdays, weren't we? So maybe on the 24th of January, we might do a January Dawn Chorus. That might be cool. Hello, Ben Greed, just joined. Nice to see new people coming in. That's great. So, Millam Randy James. I would also like to know where you're from, Millam Randy James. And you, Ben Greed. Naomi has a comment. Bunnings has a very poor selection. Often plants are root bound as well. There's a few good nurseries in the mountains. I can tell you if you want a list for that. Naomi, certainly please. And this is also for anyone. If you have a really good local nursery that you would like to recommend to me, just email me, grant at thebirdemergency.com. That would be great. Martin's having a grizzle. Martin says, you southerners are so lucky to have so many parrot species, many more than up here in Gladstone. Martin, I would agree to a point, except my parrot species right here are... Oh, actually, when I look at the blossom migrants, I do get... Oh, what do we get? Rainbow lorikeet, purple crown this year, little lorikeet, musk lorikeet. I've seen scalies, and I'm sure they've got to be like... I'm sure they've got to be like Avery escapees or something who have just joined the crowd around here. I don't get any rosellas here. We get red rumps, and then we get the corellas, two corellas, sulphur-crested cockatoo, galahs, yellowtail black cockatoos I've seen here on very infrequently. So yeah, we do okay. But you've got some amazing parrots up north, but just maybe not so much in Gladstone. But you've got the pale-headeds there, haven't you? And you've got the crimson rosella. I would imagine that you've got some neophemas or nearby, but you just might be suffering the same way I do here. That as the population of people have increased, the birds have moved out. Maybe. I do not know. I do not know. Martin, 6 parrot species besides cockatoos. Okay, you better fill us in. I want to know what you've seen. Naomi makes the comments. Yes, Martin, but Martin, Queensland has the most species of birds, and you have golden-shouldered parrots further up. So, yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, that is true. I've got to say, I was astounded by some of the birds in Queensland, but parrots, you might be right. You might be right. So, Martin, I do want you to tell us your 6 parrots and your cockatoos so that we can compare notes. Really enjoyed the input on Instagram today. I would love it if Instagram would send the comment out to so that I can pick them up in StreamYard rather than having another tab open. But it's good. Now I don't feel so bad at not being able to stream on TikTok. Although I did speak to someone who streams on TikTok and said it's bizarre. Excuse me. So maybe I won't worry too much about TikTok. I didn't stream to LinkedIn today. Maybe we'll bring them in next week. So, Martin, I'm just waiting on your 6 parrots and your cockatoos, and then I think we'll go and get on with the day. Certainly encourage anybody who wants to send in their Dawn Chorus to send that to dawnchorus@thebirdemergency.com. Any other news, snippets, interest that you'd like to send me would be greatly appreciated. You can just send that to grant@thebirdemergency.com. Here's Martin's 6. Rainbow and scaly-breasted lorikeets, pale-headed rosella, king parrot, little lorikeet. If you've got the little lorikeets, you're probably going... I don't know. Do the muskies get so far up? I'm not sure. Pale-headed rosella. I would think you could possibly be getting crimsons up there in the right location. You're lucky to have the king parrot, I think. I hope you could hear the sulphur-crested cockatoo flying overhead. I think king parrots are a ripper. We don't get those here too dry, but yeah. I was looking for information about king parrots to find something more that talked more about their diet in the wild, but I didn't find too much. Now here's Martin's cockatoos. Little Corella, black cockatoos. Now you've got the yellow-tailed, but you should have red-tailed blacks up there too, I would have thought. Sulphur-crested cockatoo. You don't get galahs, Martin? I would have thought you'd be getting galahs as well, or they should be nearby. Galahs here are the wanderers. I don't have them here all the year, but when they're around, there's quite a few of them around. One of the magpies is making a fair bit of noise around here at the moment. Okay. Lame James Bird Boy. hello, Lame James Bird Boy. That's a pretty extraordinary uh, username handle on Instagram. Nice to see you. Uh, yeah, I do like that one. Lame James Bird Boy. Uh, where are you from, Lame James Bird Boy? Let us know. We're wrapping up pretty much, so I will I will invite you to. I don't think the notifications go out on Instagram when I update them through StreamYard. So I'll have to improve my workflow to get the Instagram notifications out. But it's been great having so many Instagrammers on. Um, Fluctuates the numbers. I think Instagram maybe might not be quite so stable as the others because it shows nobody and then it shows a bunch of people and then it shows nobody. But Lame James Bird Boy, that is a beauty. Doesn't tell me when you leave either on Instagram, so that's a bit weird. Anyway, so Martin tells me yes. So he gets both the galah and yellow-tailed and red-tailed black cockatoos. You'd almost be a chance to get glossies up there, wouldn't I? Would think, Martin, wouldn't you? If the right stuff was around. So you got rainbow, scaly, little lorikeets, pale-headed, king parrot, little corella, black cockatoo, sulphur-crested, galahs, and well, we'll add on the one more black cockatoo. So you got 10. I reckon that's pretty good. You're doing a lot. There's a lot more parrots in your neighbourhood than in my neighbourhood, buddy. So, oh no, we might be if I count all the lorikeets and I count all the possible black cockatoos, corellas. We're on about a par, so we're almost even Stevens, I would say. So, yeah. All right. Naomi, thanks for your contributions on Instagram. That's been great today. Remember, you can send me your dawn choruses. Let's get back into the dawn choruses for 2024. Dawn chorus at thebirdemergency.com. And you can send me anything you want me to know at grant@thebirdemergency.com. And Martin has just added another one. Yes, he's seen glossy black cockatoos on some she oaks. So, yeah, Martin, I think you're winning there. I think you are winning. So I wouldn't be lamenting quite so much. And you have a lot more bush birds and things look, you're probably getting regent bowerbirds, buddy. So you can't do much better than that in my book. Okay, gone. Last chance for a comment. Yeah, I do quite like how that looks on Instagram, by the way. It's quite delayed on Instagram, though, I might say. Yeah, fair enough. Exactly, fair enough. Martin, I would love if some glossy black cockatoos just turned up around here. Oh, look at that. The green screen works wonders on Loz's... on Loz there, doesn't it? That's weird. Okay. Oh, Naomi said it's been fun. Comments seem to get through quicker on Insta. I really like it. Cool. Well, I'll keep going with the Instagram live streams. I will. There's just something I need to learn to get on the OBS, which is the sort of studio I use to then send to StreamYard. But I can do with vertical there. So that's what will go to Insta. But the comments don't all go in one place. So I've just got to keep remembering to click over and have a look at Instagram. But yeah, we'll keep going with that. I can manage to look at a few things. Also with habitat gardening, I mean, we're getting into frogs, and we'll keep going back to water in the gardens. Next week, my plan is to talk about frogs, unless something else um, uh, comes up. Oh, Martin, I like this. You'll have to get a pirate hat. Yes. Martin, I'll tell you, I once fronted a cover band that was actually a disastrous joke, but it was fun, and it was the Captain Pugwash revival, because some people I knew well at one time thought that I made a good Captain Pugwash. So I did once have a pirate hat. Maybe I will get another one, Martin. I don't know. Yep. Okay, folks. Thanks for being with us again. Loz has enjoyed it. Got to say, he's made an absolute mess with that mango. He's finished the mango, though, so he's back over here now. Yeah. And for new people on Instagram, use the comments, get involved. That's what makes the whole thing fun. That's why live streams are good. We can have a bit of fun and get involved. Obviously, follow or subscribe or whatever on the relevant platform so that you can get the notifications when things are scheduled. What's today? Today's Saturday. So, yeah, I'll be back tomorrow sometime around midday to do the review of the news, and who knows, maybe someone will pop in and join me. And then Monday, there will be a midday Monday show, which we'll probably be talking a little bit more about in depth some of the issues in the news, maybe following up from some of the things we talk about tomorrow. That just depends. What have we got? Just checking for the final time. All right. Thanks, Instagram. We'll see you again soon. So Instagram are gone. And apparently I can download my Instagram. That's interesting. And for those of you on the other platforms, I will catch up with you again soon. I don't know what's going on with maybe that's just the light that's making my face look like that today. Anyway, it's always great to join the Riot Squad on a Saturday morning, talking gardening. Just remember, Grant at thebirdemergency.com if you've got a subject that you would like me to raise or talk about in the context of habitat gardening. Otherwise, maybe see you tomorrow. See you Monday. I'm Grant. I'm a bird nerd. This has been Habitat Gardening on the Bird Emergency. See you later.